Hello, and welcome to the Allure podcast. I am your host, Laura, your unofficial mentor and motivator. Has there ever been a moment when you've said to yourself, I need to get my life together? Well, what if I told you that the missing piece is not always a lack of motivation? The key lies in your routine or the lack thereof. You don't need to have a rigid schedule or anything like that, but having a healthy pace and rhythm in your daily routine, in your daily life, will do wonders. It is something that holds you steady when life gets a little too loud. So today we're going to break down how maintaining a routine can literally transform your life mentally, emotionally, and even financially. So let's get into it. Routines aren't just about being productive. They are about creating a sense of safety and structure in a world that's always changing. So think about it. Whenever you wake up and, every morning, you already know what life looks like. You already know what to expect. So you are eliminating that decision fatigue that you will otherwise feel. Your brain isn't wasting energy wondering, well, what now? What's next? Your mental energy can now be used to solve other problems, other more important problems. So creating something meaningful or just feeling less chaotic. There's a reason why sometimes people wear the same thing every day because you're not thinking about what to wear every day. You usually wear the same color shirts, the same type of dresses, whatever. That's a way to eliminate that decision fatigue. And so science says that routine tends to reduce cortisol, which is that stress hormone. It helps you improve your sleep and it enhances your focus. It also helps regulate your mood. That's why people with stable routines often feel more emotionally grounded and stable. And a great example that I can give you is when you think about people who work all of their lives and all of a sudden it's time to retire. And let's think of two different types of people who retire, right? So there's the one who says, you know what, I've been working for 30 years. I'm not doing a damn thing after this. I'm just going to enjoy my quiet time. I'm going to sleep as much as I want. I'm going to wake up every day at whatever time I want, do absolutely nothing. I want nothing else to do but just live. And initially, this sounds like a dream, of course. Who wouldn't want that? The drawback is that it could eventually lead to boredom, isolation, and even depression. So not having a routine to look forward to increases that anxiety due to those feelings of uncertainty, even when there's really nothing to expect. So while they have the freedom to do as they please, there's really no longer that structure that lets your body know that everything is fine. Now, on the other hand, you could think of someone who also retired, and even though they have all the time in the world, they decide to do something with that free time. So they like to stay productive. Maybe they like to go out in the garden and water their plants. They like to go for walks after lunch. There's even if you don't do anything crazy, you don't have to do anything crazy. The idea is that you have something to look forward to every day. Your body is still moving. Your mind is busy thinking about what you're doing. You're not sitting around ruminating or thinking about, well, what could I be doing? So that routine could potentially save your life. That mental stimulation by having things to do, having different hobbies, spending time with friends, joining a class, right? All of these things could prevent that cognitive decline that ensures that you're feeling useful and productive. Now, that doesn't mean that every moment of your life needs to be planned out. It really means that throughout the day, you have things that you know are structured. So maybe your morning routine is waking up, making your bed, having a cup of coffee, right? Like this is something that you absolutely do every day, reading the paper. Well, do people even buy papers anymore? Well, whatever, right? So same thing with work. You could have meetings at the same time every day. You have a focus time, which I absolutely recommend. it doesn't matter how stressful your work gets, you know that at some point lunchtime is coming. You could take some time to decompress and actually, relax for a little bit before you go back into all the work that you have to do. And there are different techniques for this, right? There's the Pomodoro technique, which I'm sure some of you have heard about, where you spend 25 minutes of absolute focus. And this is when you do nothing but work. And then you take a 5-minute break right after. So you do that consistently. And you'd be surprised how much work you can get done by just focusing for those 25 minutes at a time instead of just casually, looking at your phone and then checking emails or doing things here and there that could absolutely disrupt your focus. So I absolutely recommend the Pomodoro technique. And there's also the 52-17, which is another one which takes a lot more time, right? You work consistently for 52 minutes and then you take a longer break. So it's a 17-minute break. And with that break, you could do a lot more. You can go out for a walk. You can close your laptop and read a book for those 17 minutes, or you could go and stretch out. Whatever the case, it's a way for you to compartmentalize your time between work and relaxation or break. Not only does it help boost your creativity, but it helps you stabilize your mind so that whenever you are focusing on work, you already know this is work time. There's nothing else that you should be doing but work. And there's nothing else that you should be doing but relaxing, taking a break, unwinding. You'll feel better because there's that constant switch between the two. You're not working for 8 hours straight. You know that in between all of that, you're going to get a break. You're going to get some me time. And when it's time to focus again, you'll know that the next time there's going to be a break, right? So I absolutely recommend it. These are the two that I tend to focus on a little more. Think about that. Think about how you can structure your life into bits and pieces so that you're not always overwhelmed with having to do everything at once. Whatever it is that you have to do, always figure out what is the best way for me to structure whatever it is that I'm doing so that I'm not going crazy, right? We don't want to do that. Now, I have to be honest, there are a lot of people out there who resist having a routine because they think it's, you're losing your freedom. You're kind of constraining yourself to things that you don't want to do. But the truth is that routines, they are not meant to trap you. They are actually, on the contrary, they liberate you. So when you have a structure that supports your well-being, you actually create room for being more spontaneous. You increase your creativity. You're also getting more rest because you already know what to expect. And in between, you already know when you can rest. So you're no longer just winging it every day. And that's why setting those intentions like this makes and does wonders for your health. And eventually, those routines will help you build discipline that not only will increase your motivation, but will keep you consistent with the things that you want to do with our goals. It reduces your anxiety by staying somewhat predictable because I know hey, we want to be spontaneous, but in the end, predictability is not always a bad thing. You already know what to expect and the anxiety goes down significantly as a result. You're also making progress towards your goals without constant willpower because you're already doing what you want to do. You're already working towards your goals, even though it's a step at a time. Maybe it's just a small routine here and there, but as long as you're setting those intentions, you will eventually get there. It's just a matter of time, trust me. So I highly recommend that you stick to a routine. And speaking of routine, you may be wondering about last week's challenge. The challenge, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, we've been doing this weekly challenge where I'm giving you guys a little challenge to tackle every week. And so if you're just joining us, please, I recommend that you listen to last week's episode. I also recommend that you follow through the next few weeks so that we can follow through these little challenges every episode. And so last week's challenge was about waking up at the same time every day. I wonder how many of you actually try to accomplish waking up at the same time every day. Well, obviously, if you work 9 to 5, you're probably waking up at the same time every day. But I was hoping that you would challenge yourself a little more, maybe waking up half an hour earlier, maybe an hour earlier, and try to do something productive in the meantime. I will say my challenge was a bit extreme because I am not a morning person. Okay. I am a night owl. I tend to sleep late usually. Waking up at 5 a.m. every day was not something I really enjoyed, I'll be honest. But I did try. The first few days was super hard. I tried to wake up at 5 a.m. and I just kept hitting that snooze button. I'm sorry. It was super difficult. But by day 3, I will say that I did shame myself into waking up because I just didn't want to let you guys down. I mean, I know you guys went in my room watching me sleep and see when I was waking up, but I did have to take some accountability into this one because, so I did have to add something more to it, right? It's not just about waking up. Well, what about waking up? Sure, I could wake up at 5 a.m. and look at the ceiling and say, okay, well, what am I going to do with myself? I'm sleepy. I want to go back to bed. But I started to think about what are the things that I wanted to do in the next few months. Creating a plan. So that's what I started doing. I started building a plan for myself and saying, okay, well, I'm up at 5 a.m. What are the things that I wish that I could do, right? What are the things that I want to accomplish in the next few months? And in between that, of course, the weather is hot, so the birds are chirping. So waking up wasn't as hard as I would have expected because they're definitely up early, let me tell you. They're already making their plans before I even get up. But yes, so that's what I ended up doing, just working on setting plans. And so far, so good. I think I've made a checklist of things that I want to do and accomplish. It's working out so far, but I absolutely recommend that you take that time to really think about something that you think will be good for you and use that time efficiently. Don't open your phone as soon as you get up in the morning because you're up at 5. Just make sure it's intentional. Make sure that the time that you're using is valuable and you're making it as productive as possible. So if you have a problem with committing to things, create a plan, make a list, and check something off every day. All right, so now that we're talking about routines, I think for next week's challenge, it would be a good idea to create, I want to call it a micro routine. It's something that you could do whether it's morning, midday, or evening, and create maybe like a 2 or 3 step routine, something simple, something you commit to doing every day that will be good for you. So it doesn't have to be anything too demanding. You just have to stick to doing it consistently. And remember, a habit is formed after doing something for like 22 or so days. So the goal is to make it a habit of making this little micro routine a habit in your life, something that you could start doing. And so this is the moment to start. So I want you to commit to it. I would absolutely love to hear that you're committing to it. So please let me know. But again, the idea is to build something that will be good for you and sticking with it. So remember, your routine is your foundation. It is that quiet mechanism where behind the scenes, it helps you become who you're meant to be, right? But it doesn't and it won't happen overnight, obviously. But it does remain that constant thing that you can depend on and rely on. So that is your reminder. You don't need to overhaul your life completely. It takes one tiny step. It only takes one little routine for you to start making those changes. So you just have to anchor one part of your day, and eventually the rest will follow. If this episode helped you, please like it, share it with someone who you know is feeling overwhelmed right now. And also let me know what routine you're planning to start this week. I would love to hear all about it. And with that, thank you for listening to the themainallure podcast. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Until next time. Bye.